Feliz Día de las Mujeres. Happy International Women's Day 2023. And this year, the theme is embracing equity. And before we get into what that means, I have to remind you that this is Latina Literati. And if you enjoy wonderful places, interesting people from past and present, and great books, then this is the channel for you. As we celebrate this Women's Day in this spring month of March, we look at those who have come before us, we take heart and inspiration from them, and hopefully we pass our light on to those who are coming after us or coming up with us. And we celebrate each other, and we celebrate the things that make us special and unique, and the things that we can do to make each other's lives better. And so when we talk about a life of dignity, what does that mean? It means rights to basic services. It means having the ability to pursue education. It means fulfilling your potential as a human being in a manner that allows you to live with dignity. And so access to resources, access to opportunities, all of these things are central to fulfilling our own potential and ensuring our own human dignity. So for example, when we have to leave our homes, when economic and political and personal security situations push people to leave their homes, one of the international principles is that we welcome asylum seekers in any country that they may choose. And that is a big issue right now, and I want to make sure to call that out as well. Living in dignity means if you're afraid of staying in your home, you have a right to go somewhere else and to be welcome there, because in the end, we all deserve human dignity, and that means not living in fear. Equity and inclusion are not nice things to have. They're absolutely central for our coming up with the solutions we need to resolve the problems around us and to overcome obstacles that we need to build the community and to build the society that we know we deserve, where our brothers and sisters are taken care of, where children don't go hungry, where everyone has access to education, healthcare, and the ability to fulfill their potential, whatever they want to do. We need to ensure that we help each other have the basic access to education and healthcare and housing and good food, because without health, we have learned over the last few years, if you have health, you can deal with other things. But health is absolutely imperative. And part of that, a big chunk of that, is ensuring that we have access to healthy, locally grown, preferably organic food. So equity and inclusion are central to our well-being as a community, as a society, and even larger political, social groups. And so we need to celebrate ordinary women on this Women's Day and every day who do things to make our lives better and who help us along in our journey as we go through this very brief time. So we encourage each other to do more, to do better. And of course, we embrace equity and inclusion. And embracing equity is the theme again for this year's International Women's Day. And it's a wonderful theme. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between equity and equality. Equity and equality are not the same thing. So having the same access to resources is equality. But equity is understanding that not all of us begin at the same point. Some of us have advantages. Some of us have disadvantages. In other words, some of us may not have learned to read. Some of us may be challenged in other ways. And so we need to take each person where they start and ensure that their potential can be reached. And that's what equity is. Equitable access to resources, to education, to opportunities means you take a person where they are and then you provide what is needed for each one of us to have the opportunities to fulfill our potential. So you treat each individual with their needs and help them reach their potential. And that's what equity is all about. So as we celebrate International Women's Day, let's think about ways that we can provide equity and equitable access to those around us. So remember, embrace equity. I also want to take a moment to thank all of you because this is our second anniversary on this channel, and we're very excited that we're celebrating the second year with you. We have plans for a lot of wonderful information to share with you, but now we'll go on to my favorite part of the video, book recommendations. And these book recommendations are about struggle. They're not necessarily the types of books I would normally recommend, but I feel like you have to talk about struggle in order to encourage people to overcome their struggles and help each other. And so the books that I'm going to recommend today are about women and their struggles. The first book that I'm going to recommend is called Letters to My Mother. And it's a book about a Cuban young woman who is forced to leave her homeland, comes to live in the States, and comes face to face to colorism and what it means to be melanin enhanced as opposed to not. And we can talk about melanin and all of its benefits in another video, but the confrontation of the colorism when you arrive in this country is a central theme in the book, and it's heart-wrenching, but it's also heartwarming, and how this young girl is educated and raised in a country not her own. So the second book that I would like to recommend to you is called A Book for Brown Girls with Sharp Edges and Tender Hearts, A Love Letter to Women of Color. And again, lots of themes here, but women who are melanin enhanced have a very different experience. And one of the stories that I like to tell is when I was a baby lawyer, my first appearance in Law in Motion in Los Angeles. I had very long hair and I was wearing a suit, and I went past the bar to present myself to the clerk, and the judge, a very elderly man, looked down at me over his glasses and said, "Only lawyers are allowed beyond the bar," because in his mind, a lawyer couldn't look like me. And so I very politely handed him my card, and I said, "Your Honor, not only am I a member of the bar, but today I'm representing the people of California." So I could see the shock in his face, and my generation is one of the is part of that is a constant first and first and first and first for people who are not used to seeing professionals who look like us. But I think now diversity is much more present, and people don't assume that you are or are not a professional by what you look like, or you are or are not anything. I think the tech industry has helped in that a lot. They're, for example, very casual wear, so you don't know if this guy who's in sweats is an engineer. You don't even know. So you have to take everyone and assume that they are going to be working with you in some form. So I think that's helped. I think the fact that people are much more casual has helped a lot. So that's just one of my anecdotes from my professional days. The third book that I want to recommend to you is My Time Among the Whites, An Unfinished Education. And again, same thing. So in California, Latinos are the majority. And as I jokingly tell everyone, we are going to be such a great majority because we adore our children, we worship our parents, and we come in all colors. We are the rainbow. And so I am so excited of a future that we can form that is not based on judging someone by the melanin they may have in their skin or not. And I feel like we are truly going to save the soul of our communities and of this nation as we embrace equity and inclusion. So as always, we want to ensure that we support our local libraries. We love our local libraries. So see if these books are there, if it's of interest to you, and if you'd like to purchase them used or new, then check with your local bookseller. And if that's not available to you, we always link them below in the description box so that you can purchase them from independent bookstores, because we want to support independent booksellers. They're our neighbors and we support each other. That's what local economies do, and that's the strongest way to build prosperity, is to help each other at the local level. Thank you so much for joining me on this video and coming to the end of the video. If you have not, please subscribe to Latina Literati. This is a joint journey. I really want to hear from you. What are your plans? What would you like to talk about? What would you like us to present to you? Let us know what you'd like to hear. We look forward to continuing this journey together. Thank you so much. And as always, con mucho cariño, mucho salud y mucho amor. Gracias.